Hi, I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sains. I'm joined by my buddy Gordon Dymowski, my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to talk Superman 2, the Donner Cut. So, guys, here's a question for you, and Gordon, I'll start with you first. What to you is the biggest difference between this and the other version?
I think the biggest difference is that the Donner Cut is a lot more. It's a lot smoother storytelling. It doesn't. The original cut feels like it's longer than it should be. This cut feels like it's much shorter than it actually is, and that's probably the first thing that strikes me. The other is there are for some reason they inserted maybe it's the copy I had, but they inserted shots of Rutger Hauer with the shotgun shooting people.
Oh, God.
So I don't know what that was about.
Jarring.
Mhm.
It's true.
Yeah, Alan.
It's just that it's all Donner all the time. There's no Lester in there, and there is a difference between the way that they, work the camera and the way they work scenes. I didn't find that it hit me any differently. The whole thing, but Gordon's right. It's a smoother storytelling, but as a whole, of the hour and 55 minutes that it hit me about the same as the original cut in terms of the way that it impacted me overall.
Given this, because I had forgotten I've seen this on television initially, because, again, anytime like the Superman movies are on, I'll try to watch them just for the hell of it. And I'm not really a Superman fan, but, if it's on, I'll watch it. I've seen the theatrical cut of this movie and seeing this cut again. I do agree with you both that Richard Donner's cut, it's a lot smoother. But also, too, I was like, this, I can't say it's like life-changing experience for me. I wish I could. It's fun. It's a fun watch.
No, it's a tight story. It's a fun little story, and it's consistently good, like the first movie. I think that by the time we get to 4, we all know that there's a sort of a decay of quality that starts to happen. But 1 and 2 to me are my favorites in terms of the consistency and of the quality of them.
Yeah. I do feel this movie still makes the second movie fun. I do enjoy both versions, both Lester's version and both Donner's version. They're both good. They're both nothing. I don't mind a film being a little long. So
no, this ride's nice. It doesn't seem as long as it is. It doesn't. I mean, it's good storytelling. I think the biggest difference in terms of creatively, politically, and socially is the fact that when the co-producers decided to double up on it and not tell the actors what they were doing, that caused huge problems with actor support of the combo cut that ended up going out to the theaters. I think that there was just like 1 or 2 actors that actually consented to going out and promoting the film when they got to that point, because they were mad. I mean, they were upset about the way it was done.
Yeah, and it's one thing to film everything and do. There's going to do a staggered release so that Superman 1 was first, Superman 2 would be second.
Right.
And because they brought on. Because Donner quit, as I think Patrick mentioned at one time, because of the whole split movie thing, that they said, no, we're going to pay you for one rather than the other.
Right.
That, and when you bring someone in like Dick Lester, who's a much different style of film,
yes,
of filmmaking, and a much different approach.
Yeah, and he's a
able-
nice guy too, which makes it doubly difficult, I think.
Right. And so you can't really say, like, it's not like you could see. I'm trying to think of an example where it's not like, say, and I'm going to throw up in my mouth a little bit when I say this. It's like the difference between the Zack Snyder Justice League and the Joss Whedon Justice League, where they're wide apart, and you're bringing someone in who you're bringing in a douchebag to correct another douchebag's mistakes.
Yes.
No one would ever accuse Richard Donner or Dick Lester of being a douchebag. It was kind of an awkward thing. So I think having the Lester cut, like, I don't care for Superman 2. It's just not my thing. But with Donner's cut, it's much smoother. There's not a lot of the little Lesterisms. It's much more straightforward. I think the story also takes on a very different tone because it's less of a, like in the ending where they rely on the spin the earth backwards trick versus the kiss that erases Lois's memory trick.
Right.
It's I did think that was a little too convenient, but I also think that when you look at the arc of the story, it makes much more sense.
It does, and it's a recall. It's a calling back to an earlier time when he does that.
Well, I don't think it's supposed to be. I think we're sort of supposed to see this as if
first time experience.
Yeah, as if the first movie ended with, I don't know, he stops one of the missiles and stops the other, something like that.
Yeah, it's the missile. It's the missile.
Yeah, and so and then the other one releases the Phantom Zone villains.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
As a result of that, that's the quote unquote in the sort of the pure Donner canon. It's the only time that happened.
That happens. I got it.
Because I thought it was a little weird too when I saw it. It's like, man, you take the most criticized element of the movie and you do it all over again. And then I realized, no, this really isn't Superman 2 because Richard Donner never intended to make Superman 2.
Right.
He intended to make the second half of Superman the movie.
Right. Superman the movie Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, the part after the intermission.
Yeah.
Superman Act 2, really.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, because the time travel in the first movie makes dramatic sense. He is saving Lois. And that's the way he doesn't reverse everything that happened. He just saves Lois.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This time it's more like, okay, he does it to prevent the Phantom Zone villains from ever happening. And that doesn't make sense.
And to erase Lois's memory. Because
then you've just shot yourself in the foot narratively, because it's like, okay, the first time you can say, it gets a pass because he's not changing history so much as he's reviving somebody he cares about. The second
keep going, and then I got to.
The second time it's just like, okay, he's undoing all the damage.
Yeah,
right.
If you want to see, and I don't know if you guys covered this, but if you want to see kind of proof of the difference in tone and why one half of one movie has a tone that works, it's that I love Richard Lester. He is a bad fit for a Superman that begins in the Richard Donner voice. I mean, beginning the sentence with Richard Donner's voice, it does not work to end it with Richard Lester's. And look at Superman 3, which I think Richard Lester did direct all of. And look at I think it's the opening credits of Superman 3, which is supposed to be this. Is that the one that has just the day of chaos around Metropolis with the robot dolls going amok? And I think there's humor involving a blind man and all this other, stuff that you can't do now. Any of you remember this?
No, I honestly don't myself, but yeah,
go
ahead.
It's terrible. And as is the rest of the movie, with the exception of Robert Vaughn and his sister, who are pretty funny.
Would you think that Lester was attempting to do something akin to the kind of things he was doing with the Beatles in terms of the chaos and so on?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And normally he's good at creating incredibly intricate comedy Rube Goldberg situations. I mean, I know, Alan, I think you and I have talked about some of the fight scenes in Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Specifically the one in the cafe where they're managing to get fed while appearing as if they're starting a fight.
Yeah.
And so I think this is Lester kind of flexing his muscles and saying, "Yeah, baby, this is what I can do."
Mm-hmm.
But it's not funny in Superman 3 at all. It's embarrassing.
Right.
And it's especially embarrassing in context. So you've got those two things put together. I know this isn't a review of Superman 3, but if you look at the tone of Superman 3, and if you look at the tone of the moments in Superman 2, the Lester cut that just don't work, man. I mean, they almost like have a different color. It's like right. Superman 3 is purple, and those moments are
that earlier. That the normal cut has that. There's just some weird.
The normal cut stuff. When I see it, watch it, feels longer than it actually is. The Donner cut feels much shorter than it actually is.
It really does.
Yeah.
And exactly. And it's funny because even though the Donner cut contains shots and moments from screen tests and so on and so forth, it still feels more internally consistent.
Oh yeah, it's
than
almost
the Lester cut.
It still feels almost seamless.
So, Jewel, what was your take on this? Because this is the first time you saw it. Did you writhe with pleasure, or did you fly into one of your trademark rages?
I enjoy both films. I did what I forgot is I actually did see this on TV years ago, and I didn't realize it until I rewatched it. So I apologize for that. But now that being said, I enjoy both movies. I think both movies have their own unique approach, and I take nothing away from either Lester or Richard Donner.
Do you miss the oeuvre of Jeannot Swark? Do you think he could have healed this wound that America has? But the director of Supergirl and Jaws 2.
Oh, God.
Maybe he could unite this Israel and Palestine of super film.
You know what really could have healed Superman 3?
Joseph Sargent. You're going to go there, aren't you? Director of Jaws, The Revenge.
Don't go there, Joel. No, Joseph Sargent.
It's the only movie. What other movie has the what is it? The ghost of a shark comes back to kill the widow of the man who killed it.
Ooh, this is definitely a drive-in special we're talking here.
Yeah, Joel. I hate to
Bob
say this,
Briggs
but you burn
here.
Oh my God!
You crave Joseph Sargent's brand of entertainment, don't you?
What really could have helped Superman 3 was 1, a better villain, 2, a better plot, and that's the end of it. Because you know what I remember after Superman 2?
The film stock.
I don't remember 3, 4, or 5. So
you're the Gorman of film criticism, and that's a high compliment coming from me.
So it's. I'll say this: for as bad as Jaws 3 and 4 are, I remember those films keenly compared to the rest of the Superman movies.
And you're the only person who remembers Jaws 3 and 4, because I don't. And I wasn't even drinking when I first saw those movies. So
no, but Michael,
those are the movies where they finally got it right.
Well, here's the thing: with this movie, with Superman 2, the Donner cut, it's entertaining. It tells a really good story, a good paced story. I love the interaction between Brando and just God. Christopher Reeves is so good. And I did enjoy the ending of him spinning around the earth, changing history a bit, because yeah, that did make more sense than, you know, making out with Lois Lane. Like, what
Yeah,
the
icky girl stuff.
Mm-hmm.
you know, listen, I've kissed my wife many times. She's not going to forget it. So there's that.
But she probably does, Jewel. She probably does.
My God.
Well, you clearly haven't spun her around the world. See, that's what you.
Oh my! Oh boy! Jewel just said something really dirty. Good for you, Alan.
Yeah, it'll be better than Ruthie's, Jewel.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy both versions of the movies. I do feel that, and maybe it's me, I'm not taking anything away from Richard Donner. I prefer some of it's weird. I prefer some of Lester's version, and I prefer some of Donner.
Specifically.
Okay, I feel there's more of a fight sequence between the villains of Lester's movie than there is of Donner's movie. Maybe it's just me misremembering. I could be, but because again, I saw the Donner cut more recently than I did the Lester version. I haven't seen the Lester version in a while. This here, I like it. I like what it does. I like the fact that they do he literally spins the world around. I love how Donner tells the story of this emotional journey of Superman, of Clark Kent. But what Lester does is, I'm more like the glasses going into the fire than I do Lois Lane pulling the gun. She says it's blanks, and it's like, okay, that's an easy explanation. That makes sense. That's just me, you know. I'm not trying to be picky. Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they are different styles. There's no doubt about that.
I do have a question for you guys. Go ahead, Patrick.
I don't remember. I do think that if Richard Lester had made this movie from the beginning, we would have gotten Dudley Moore as General Zod.
Yeah. I can see that.
I'm just saying, I really have this eerie feeling that would have happened.
Or something equally as non sequitur, like Peter O'Toole or something like that.
Hey, now Peter O'Toole is he's already a noted Kryptonian. He's Temple Bethel or whatever.
Yes, all the L's. No, there's absolutely no Jewish references in Superman's history.
Not at all.
Whatsoever.
No.
The scene,
none.
I like in the scene at Niagara Falls, and he rescues the kid, and you hear somebody in the audience go, "What a nice boy, he's Jewish."
Does someone really say that?
Say that, yes.
Wow, I kind of like that now. I don't know. I'm sort of okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was a nice Jewish boy when he was first created, particularly. I mean, he was created by a couple of nice Jewish boys. And at the same time that he was created, by the time he was created, things were going on in Europe, you know?
Yes.
So what we need is a hero.
What the world needs now is a shining hero. That's what they say in The Return of Captain Invincible.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I haven't seen that one in a while.
In a song, that's the theme song. What the world needs now.
You guys just made me think of
Richard O'Brien.
Yeah.
That's
an amazing movie, actually. It
has a lot going on, and it's directed by, of all people, Philippe Mora, the bafflingly inexplicable director of what the hell? But Howling 2.
Oh.
With
Captain Invincible. Captain Invincible is the one with Alan Arkin, right?
Yeah, and Christopher Lee.
Just wanted to.
And it's on Tubi.
Yeah.
And who?
Yeah.
It's on Tubi.
Oh, God, what a weird movie.
Yeah,
Jewel, have you ever seen The Return of Captain Invincible?
No, but I've seen The Howling too.
These are great films. I mean, the oeuvre of Philippe Mora deserves full scrutiny.
Yeah, but you know what? Returning Captain Invincible is a better movie than Halloween 2. But you know what? Most any movie is better than Halloween 2.
Yeah.
No, we're
Howling.
not saying Halloween. We said Howling.
Howling.
Oh, okay.
With
But you're right
Well,
about Halloween.
it still
too.
works. It still works. Any movie is better than Howling 2.
No, okay. Now you're just them fighting words. We know it.
Okay.
Oh my god!
Halloween 2, I think I saw before. No, I had seen Halloween. I saw it on NBC, and then I saw Halloween 2 the next day at the Vogue. Saw it on the big screen.
Cool.
Yeah, I was watching Joe Kidd with my niece today. I was showing her that Western with Clint Eastwood. Good movie. But with this, let me ask you guys this question. If you could have changed the villain for Superman 3, who would it have been?
Oh, Brainiac.
That would be good.
Because he's dealt with Lex Luthor. He's dealt with Kryptonians. Brainiac or Parasite, I think, are naturals. I'm trying to think of the other great Superman villains, and I'm not. They're not coming to me.
Well, there's a pantheon of troublemakers rather than out and out villains.
Sure.
Stuff like Bizarro Superman and things like that. But
Bizarro.
Yeah.
Bizarro.
See, I do Vartox, who was a Superman villain from the 70s, inspired by Sean Connery in Zardoz.
No, Zardoz.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great outfit.
Yeah.
Talk about thongs, man.
Jewel, if we ever went to a convention together, would you let me dress up as Charlotte Rampling and you could dress up as Sean Connery in Zardoz?
If I ever went to a convention with you, I'd probably just dress as myself. I don't really dress up for conventions.
But do you know what Sean Connery wore in Zardoz?
The red,
It's a giant.
That could be you.
It's almost a pro wrestling singlet, except it's more like a thong.
All 375 pounds of me. Yeah.
And I could be the giant head, and I could spit out guns. Like it would go around my whole body. I would look like the ham in To Kill a Mockingbird.
I could go for some steamed hams right about now.
Speaking of steamed hams, now, would you, in the Lester cut, because he tears off his super chest. Does he do that in the Donner cut? I don't remember.
No.
Okay. So I think he should have bent over and broken wind, and the trunks should have flown off and wrapped around General Zod.
Yeah.
That would have been a hell of a moment. But
spinning him off into the Phantom Zone, yes.
Here's the wacky thing. Going back to Superman 3, because we must. Because of a bet I made with a certain dark overlord, I must talk about Superman 3 over and over again.
The memo has been.
It's my punishment. Ralph Richardson's in a stone chair somewhere laughing. But all seriousness aside, I don't think the villains are really the problem. I think the villains, and I don't include Gus Gorman with that. I'm talking about Ross Webster and Sis and Pamela Stevenson as his psychic nutritionist. They are perfectly good substitutes for Lex Luthor. And I almost called him Roger Moore. Robert Vaughn is having a lot of fun. I mean, Robert Vaughn's a good actor, and I like Robert Vaughn a lot. I'm very loyal to Robert Vaughn. So the script doesn't have them do enough or go far enough. I feel like unleashing the supercomputer is an Act 2 maneuver, and that should have created whatever the Cyberman, Cyber Superman kind of situation is, and maybe the Ersatz Superman, that they split, and there's the evil one, and basically in the Zack Snyder or not in the Zack Snyder, in the Bryan Singer outfit. Do you notice that the colors are almost the same? And he's the one who gets all the computer shit all over him,
right?
Instead of Sis. And so now Superman is going up against this multi-part Bizarro figure. And then, Ross Webster's his puppet master, and it just gets way out of hand.
It's an absurdist almost approach to it, rather than sort of the comic book earnestness that we've come to expect in the first movie.
Yes.
Especially the first movie, but also in the Donner cut of the second movie. It takes a turn into this sort of almost screwball absurdity, and then 4 goes even further in that direction. Just
yeah.
I mean, they both have their dark moments, but there's also a lot of this crazy stuff going on.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just my cure for Superman 3, and I know that's Monday morning quarterbacking, but it's just my way of saying that. Yeah, I guess the villains are not so good because of the way the script limits them. I think the script could have taken the same elements, not added anything, just rearranged a few things, and made those villains better. But I just say that because I'm a big Robert Vaughn fan, so I'm totally prejudiced.
As a Robert Vaughn fan, have you seen his Vietnam War debate with
Buckley?
With Buckley? Yeah,
I have not, and
it's awesome.
I've read Buckley's essays about Robert Vaughn, and they're very funny. But yeah, that's as far as I got.
Yeah, well, he's Buckley's equal in those. Buckley never thinks so, of course, because there is no equal to Buckley in Buckley's mind. But
yeah. But by the way, there's a really good American Masters about Bill Buckley. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I mean, the guy was an intellect, and he was he wasn't we people used to call him an ideologue, but he really wasn't, not in comparison to what we know to be ideologues today. He was a conservative philosopher. He was a conservative thinker. In a way that is more about what conservatism is supposed to be, not radical.
Melted Jewel, by the way.
What's that?
We melted Jewel.
Oh,
I'll be with you in a moment.
I'll be with you in a minute, Mr. Peabody.
Turn on the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, he probably had. I think Jewel is suffering from a case of Portnoy's complaint. So
it could be.
Oh.
It could be.
Oh God!
But speaking of William F. Buckley, there's a great documentary that I think might even be on. It may be on Tubi.
Best of Enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. There are several good takes on him. So.
Bill Buckley also appears in White House Plumbers, which, if you haven't seen it, is magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it, Gordon?
No, I haven't.
You know what? I'm looking to see if it's streaming anywhere so I can see it.
It's so effing funny. It is really, really good. And it's accurate, and it's very gang who couldn't shoot straight. It's everything I love about Liddy and Hunt. Where Howard Hunt's a scary guy, and then Liddy shows up and starts playing Nazi records in the White House, and this scares even Hunt.
Right. Well, Liddy was he was somebody who reveled in his own insanity. I mean,
he really did.
Yeah, there's a great podcast called Behind the Bastards, and like my first encounter with the whole Liddy myth is they did a 4-part retrospective on him, and they do like all sorts of stuff from like, from people in the past to more, kind of more recent. Like right now they're doing RFK Jr., which is,
Nice.
but also speaking of Robert Vaughn, and I know this is on Tubi, if you'd like to see Robert Vaughn really kind of kicking it in his elder years, the BBC show Hustle, which is about a group of conmen. It's on Tubi, and he's part of it. It is really good.
Okay, good. Robert Vaughn was the first really positive experience I had with a celebrity in an autographing situation, where he gave me an autograph for free just because I complimented him on getting his PhD. And his agent got this weird, it was in Chicago, and his agent got this weird look in his eye. This is after Russell Johnson had been a total jerk, and said, "Oh, you just said the right thing." And Vaughn gave me this look, and he said, "You like an autograph for free?" And I said, "Yeah."
Yes,
and
sir.
So he signed it really affectionately. And here's an interesting thing about hands. Robert Vaughn had much rougher hands than I was expecting. David Selby had much softer hands than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I can't speak to his hands, but I've met Jim Steranko, comic legend Jim Steranko, and his hair is very impressive.
Jewel, how are your hands?
I don't know. You'd have to ask my wife. Anyway. So,
oh my.
Ask how your hands were being rubbed over things. We asked what your hands were.
I do know my hands are very.
Well, when Jewel touches things, he usually puts some like ointment on it, just so that it's he doesn't it's a little bit slippery.
It's like Curly in of Mice and Men. He keeps the glove on one hand, and it's filled with like corn huskers or something.
Oh man!
I'll put it this way.
Jewel loves gloves the way J.D. Vance loves couches.
Ooh.
Well, I don't know anything about them. What about J.D. Vance and couches?
There's a meme that's popped up that
right.
that has been proven to be false, but people are stating it anyway. Let's just say J.D. Vance had an experience using an inside-out glove and couch cushions.
Who?
J.D. Vance.
I don't know who that is.
Trump's VP selection, author of Hillbilly Elegy.
Actually, he's probably in the process of writing his next book, which is going to be called Billionaire Elegy.
Hillbilly Eulogy.
Billionaire Eulogy, right?
Oh, God. Oh, my God. No, my hands are very, very big because my wife's, like, I can cup literally not just my wife's hands, but her wrist and her. So.
Well, you know what they say about men with big hands.
That's right.
They need big gloves.
It's a good thing, Jewel. It's a good thing.
Oh, God.
Home of the Whopper.
I will say this. I really enjoyed rewatching this movie. I like both versions. I do think that the rest, when you look at the first two Superman movies, they're either version of Superman 2 is better than 3, 4, or 5. I do think that sometimes superhero movies get plagued with bad decision making.
More Mark Pillow. That's all I can say.
Yes.
And with that, I must leave. Keep going. Good night.
Peace out.
So, I mean, I can't complain. I give both movies like an 8.5. I think both are good. So I can't really. I've nothing really to complain about. I mean, so.
Because this is the last of the truly good ones, the first and second ones being, and this is the better cut because of the smoothness of the storytelling. I give this a 9 as opposed to like a 7.5 or an 8 for the original version.
Well, I never really cared for Superman 2, so that's when I would give a 6. This cut I'd give a 7.5 because it's the same. Yeah, it's an improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys want to add before we go?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, I mean, obviously this also had, you know, among the better ensemble casts like the first movie did, having been sort of filmed at the same time. It's just to me, it's a higher quality product because of the artistic input as well as, you know, the writing and everything from the others.
So here I have a question for you, Gordon and Alan. What is your favorite Halloween sequel?
Halloween sequel.
3. Halloween 3.
The standalone movie.
Yes.
The Season of the Witch or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that movie too, actually. I thought that was an interesting departure. I do like some of the Laurie Strode driven later ones.
Season of the Witch is good.
You know, but I think I would say 3 too.
3's good. 3's good. I love the hell out of Halloween 6. It follows Halloween 5. Really, really dark movie.
Oh yeah, the later ones are. Those are the ones that are more driven by the Laurie Strode character. I mean,
4, 5, and 6 is the Jamie Lloyd trilogy. It's Laurie Strode's daughter. Laurie Strode returns in Halloween H2, which they completely jump the timeline, and they ignore 4, 5, and 6.
That's right.
Then Resurrection, which I feel Resurrection's better than H2O. I know a lot of people would laugh at that because Busta Rhymes is in that movie. But hey. So, links to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page is going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Collins Port After Dark, is going to be in the description channel. And link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day Book of Bounds is going to be in the description box. Gentlemen, you have a wonderful, wonderful night and stay safe.
Peace out.
Good
Have a
night,
good
all.
evening, gentlemen.